What's up, Marty?
Hey, Frank.
Welcome to Top Boy in the Grass. This is our second episode with me, Frank, and him, Marty. Marty, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Just had some decent pizza.
Oh, yeah.
From the old Papa John's. Today's episode, Marty, you teased it in our last episode. Some soapy ghosts. And that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Specifically, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 2022. Call of Duty 2, 2.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 2.
2. First off, we'll talk about the campaign a little bit. How did you like this campaign?
I loved it.
Really?
Yes.
So, I don't think it was as good as the last one. I think 2019's was better, but I still really like this one. I mean, it was good. It wasn't like game changing, but it was good.
This one, for me, the epilogue, right? So the two scenes after the game just sold it for me because it brought back that nostalgia from the original Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, nothing's more nostalgic than shooting up an airport.
Well, this one did a spin on it. Well, I guess it could still be them shooting up an airport, but it takes place on the actual plane.
Yeah, it's kind of like a blend between Mile High Club and No Russian.
Yeah.
Both of which, classic levels. Maybe not super PC in today's environment, but still fun nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really shoot people so much in the original No Russian.
I went all out.
Like, I would sometimes, like when I was bored, but normally I would go to the, I don't know why. Somebody told me that if I went to the vending machine as soon as you get out of the elevator and you get all of the Cokes out of the vending machine before they start shooting, you would get like a secret achievement or an unlockable for the multiplayer. I can't remember what it was, but they told me that you had to do that and you unlock something. And so I did that a lot and I never got jack from it.
Yeah, I don't think that was the thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it wasn't, but I was 12, so didn't know better. Was I 12? When did Modern Warfare 2 come out?
That's a good question. I really don't know.
No, wait, no. It came out in 2009, so I was 14.
I remember buying the first Modern Warfare. We were at a GameStop in a mall, and I wasn't old enough to buy it because you had to be 17. So this random guy that was walking out of GameStop, I handed him a $50 bill, and I was like, will you buy Modern Warfare for me? And he did, and surprisingly, he actually gave me my change. But yeah, thanks for that, guy, whoever you are.
Yeah, somewhere out there, he's like, I got you, fam.
Yeah.
The first time I played Modern Warfare 2 was at school. I was in junior ROTC, and it was our, what are those called? Like the days where you take your finals at the end of the semester or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And at my school, those were usually just half days. Like you would take half of your tests in the morning one day, and then you would take the other half in the morning the next day. So because we had so much free time between the tests being done and the buses, because the buses didn't change their schedule even though it was a half day. So we had to wait another like 3 or 4 hours for the buses. So every year in junior RTC, people would bring in Xboxes, food, snacks, stuff like that. And we would just have like a big gaming session. And that was my first one. And I remember, I think it was my buddy Alex Gross. He was more of a mentor or something. I don't know how to describe it. He was like a big brother to me when I was in high school. But I think he had brought it. And so I played it, and I just smoked everybody there. Because we were obviously playing offline because we're in high school. So it's not like we had internet.
Yeah, and for you and me, we grew up in that era where like Halo and Call of Duty and Battlefield were all the rage. And we were good at that.
Yeah, I'm still pretty good sometimes.
We're pretty okay most of the time.
We're not esports people, but then again, who would want to be an esports person? But I got home and I was like, man, I really wish I had that game because it was a lot more fun. Like I didn't really talk about wanting it before, and because I knew I was like, I'm not gonna get it because I'm a poor kid. And so when I got home, I saw I got a package from my dad, and I was like, oh, I don't know what that is. I opened it up. Modern Warfare 2. I'm like, man, So I threw that thing in the old 360. I started playing. But yeah, I like the original Modern Warfare 2 quite a bit. But this one's campaign, get a little back on topic here. What I liked about it was all the Mexico stuff.
Yeah, that was a pretty big part of it.
I love Mexico.
Right.
I love Mexican. I love Mexican food. I love Mexican culture. It's
Mexican
just
people.
Yeah, well, that's what I said earlier. I mean, I know Antonio Banderas isn't Mexican, but Antonio Banderas movies where he plays Mexicans, fantastic.
With the yellow filter of...
Yeah. Gosh, what is that? Sepia or something? As soon as you
least,
cross the border, a filter.
Yeah, at least they didn't do that in the game. But.
Yeah, well, did they? No, probably not. I enjoyed the characters. They sounded cool, and they acted cool, and like Mexican special forces versus cartels. I was like, wow, this stuff's cool because I've met Mexican special forces in real life. And while the ones in the game had less guitar cases, I would say they were equally as cool. I don't know anybody from the cartel well, maybe I do. I just don't know that I know them if they are in the cartel.
If you do, you probably shouldn't talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it. I'm in Arkansas. I mean, well, the cartel in Arkansas. No. All the drugs here are coming from here. And it's like trailer meth labs.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was okay campaign. Like, it didn't have anything in it that I felt like I saw in the news, like with Modern Warfare 2019. Like, because in Modern Warfare 2019, they had that level where you go after the fake ISIS leader and you search the property. And it's like, oh, he ran into a tunnel, and then they go through a tunnel, and he's at the end of the tunnel. Like, that happened, 1 or 2 weeks after the game came out. That happened in real life, where a real American team went in for a real ISIS leader, and he really ran into a tunnel, and they really got him at the end of the tunnel. It's
so do you think they had that intel making Call of Duty before it actually happened?
I would highly doubt that.
Or was it just a fluke?
Oh, well, it was a coincidence, but I think it was also the amount of, I don't know if you would call it military analyst or consultant or whatever you want to call it, but they talk to people. They definitely talk to people in the industry enough, like the defense industry, to get a very good grasp on what happens in real life. And I feel like they portrayed it very well. I don't know if it was that way with this new game because you don't really hear about Mexican special forces fighting cartels or private military corporations very often.
I mean, yeah, you're right, but I feel like that's by design. Like, they probably don't want people to really know what's going on with that kind of business.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I didn't like the PMC thing very much. I think they overplayed that with the Kevin Spacey Call of Duty. And coming back to it, it just didn't feel right. Press F to pay respects. But I didn't really like the PMC part. I liked everything else. Like, the part with the cartels was really cool. But the part with where you're fighting the annoying, like, southern...
Oh, Graves?
Yeah. That was annoying. I was like,
we had a guy that we worked with named...
Who, if I am not mistaken, went to some kind of gunship, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Did you say his full name?
Yeah, I think I did.
I'll bleep that out.
The character in Call of Duty, his name is...
No, I think it's just Graves.
First name. Maybe I'm just putting those two together.
Every time you say that word, I'm going to have to add a bleep, so please stop. Oh, okay. He wasn't saying anything inappropriate, but we're not trying to give away real names of real operators in the real world, because that's not the point of this.
My bad.
Okay, before we get somebody killed, let's move on. Like somebody would kill him over that, but all the people from ISIS that listen to this, stop right now.
You're not welcome here.
Yeah, you're not welcome, ISIS. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and knock that out of the way. If ISIS, Nazis, communists, KKK...
Real communists, not Democrats. Democrats are welcome here.
Yeah. As long as you don't, act mean to me. But yeah. No real racists or anything like that, because I don't want to be associated with people like that. Multiplayer for Modern Warfare 2. So, with this one, when it came out, they didn't have Warzone 2 out yet. They didn't have DMZ out yet.
Mm-hmm.
It was just your stereotypical Call of Duty arena. I feel like what they did well with that was they kind of stuck with what they know. Like, we got our kill confirmed, we got our search and destroy, we got our team deathmatch, our domination, and stuff like that. Which a lot of games nowadays, like look at Halo Infinite, they don't have jack when it comes to play mode or modes. Yeah,
game modes.
Yeah, game modes.
Classic game modes.
I mean, Battlefield's only really ever been about conquest, but they started getting into the different ones over the years, and I really enjoy Rush and Breakthrough as well. And this last this last Battlefield really has been lacking as well when it comes to like different modes for the main game. But Call of Duty had them all, but they didn't have hardcore.
Still don't.
Still don't have at the time of this recording. Still don't have hardcore, and I always play hardcore because I like using pistols. And pistols are significantly easier when you can actually kill people with them. So I didn't really like the lack of hardcore or stats. And that's been a problem with the last few games where tracking your stats has been difficult.
Well, they did add stat tracking or leaderboards, but it's not as in-depth as it used to be.
Yeah.
I miss the simple screen that was like, your score, your kills, your deaths, assists, whatever else. They didn't hide anything from you. They didn't hide your amount of deaths or your KD ratio to make you feel better.
Yeah, I want to feel ashamed.
Right.
Because if I don't see it, then I feel worse because I think I'm doing worse than I am. Another thing, really weird with this one, like it had some good things and then they just like Call of Duty 2019's create a class / weapon customization was, in my opinion, like pinnacle Call of Duty. Because you got to pick the stuff that you wanted on your gun without having to compromise your grenades or your perks or anything like that. And you could turn your M4 into an M16 if you wanted it to be an M16. With this one, they kind of try to do something similar to that, but then they made it a million times more complicated, and they made attachments a million times more complicated. And the whole point of it was to avoid grinding, but I feel like I'm grinding worse now than I was before. Because before, if I found a gun I liked, I just stuck with it. And so it wasn't really grinding. I was just using the gun that I like. Maybe if there was a certain attachment I wanted for it, I would grind. But after I got that, I'm just playing. With this one, if I wanted an attachment for, let's say there's a specific red dot that I want to throw on my AR, or not AR, what do they call it? The M4. I would have to, play with the M4 until I unlock the M16, and then I have to play with the M16 until I unlock the Icarus, and then I have to play with that until I unlock the Hurricane, and I gotta get the Hurricane up to level, 12 or whatever, and then I finally get the sight. I'm like, what? That's so much more grinding. That's way more grinding. And if all of those guns are just modified M4s, just leave the M4.
Yeah, and just change the receiver.
Right. Have this receiver be like a free attachment. So you pick which receiver you want, and then you throw on your attachments.
That confused me about the creative class, because receiver is one of the options that you can change, but it just completely changes it to a different gun with different attachments and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And another one of my complaints is just the naming of the guns. I know we talked about it before, but just pay the copyrights or whatever. Pay whoever you have to pay to name the guns their real life names.
Do you have to license AK?
Finnick 45? I mean, it's a vector. We all know it's a vector.
Yeah. Or a Chris.
Yes. A Chris vector.
I like the vector, specifically the name vector, more than I like the Chris or the Chris vector. But I feel like M16 is not something.
Right, that and AK and 1911, which, come on.
I mean, as long as you don't call it the Remington 1911 or something like that, I don't see what the problem is. There's been so many versions of this. Do you think these companies don't want the names of their guns in the game? Because it's advertising for them. Mm-hmm. So either Call of Duty is too cheap to pay the licensing fee, or even worse, they want these guys to pay them to have their guns in the game. Right. And that would be awful. Now, I don't know what the behind the scenes is on that, because I don't work at Activision or Blizzard or Infinity Ward, but they need to figure something out, because I'm tired. I don't want to play with something that's an AK-47 that's not called AK-47. Especially when you got 5 different versions of the AK. It gets too confusing. I want the 47, I want the 74, And then the
RPK, which I think they actually did call it the RPK.
Yeah, the RPK is fine. Yeah. What is the modern one called? That's in 545 or whatever. The AK 100.
The AKM.
Is it the AKM? It might be AKM. Yeah. I can't remember. But whatever that. I mean, that's the thing. Like, if they just had the real names, I would know what it is.
And the number one AK that's missing in the game, of course, the Dragunov.
Yeah.
Where the hell's the Dragunov?
The Dragunov is one of my favorite snipers of all time, if not my favorite sniper of all time. It's so cool. Okay, it's a giant AK that shoots like finger-sized bullets at people, and it's just beautiful. Like, even the name's cool. It's like Dragunov. It sounds like a dragon. And dragons are sick. But no, we don't have the Dragunov. We've got a bunch of snipers.
Kastov? I mean, what the hell is that?
Who is that? Supposed to be a person? It's
supposed to sound similar to Kalashnikov, maybe, but I don't know. It sounds like a Russian shoe company. I don't know.
And Kalashnikov is his name. He's not the only person named Kalashnikov. If you named it Terry, you wouldn't get sued for calling it a Terry 47. You know what I'm saying? Just call it the gosh darn Kalashnikov. Ugh.
Why Terry, Frank? Why Terry?
I don't know. This is the first name that came to mind.
Is it the terrorist choice of weapon?
Put it in reverse, Terry. All right, put it in reverse. It's always in my mind. Never forget, Terry. Rest in peace. July 4th, 2011. I don't know. He might be alive. He's probably alive. We don't know.
Some of the good things about the game, though, for me, like the movement, I feel like they slowed down the movement. They made it more of like an old school feeling.
Yeah.
The aim down sight time, which you can change it depending on your attachments and your gun and everything, but it's not ridiculously fast like it has been in some of these recent Call of Duties. To me, this feels like a Call of Duty, whereas Cold War and was Vanguard, those did not feel like Call of Duty to me.
Yeah, those were bad. The one saving grace for Cold War, in my opinion, was Ghostface being in it, purely because I love Scream. But other than that, that game was trash. And it was still better than Vanguard. Vanguard is just a spit in the face of every person who served in World War II. Laser gun, like, it's one thing with zombies, right? Mm-hmm. But what they did with, it just felt disrespectful, you know? Like, they didn't care about the history of it. And that's what drew me into Call of Duty as a kid. Call of Duty, when we were kids, was up to the level, like while the level's loading, you've got a live action, real black and white footage of the World War II with somebody narrating actual events that happened. And
perfect example, War at War.
Yes.
The cutscenes like leading up to the mission of that game just drew you in and just got you amped up to go kill some Nazi.
Oh yeah. And then now they won't call them Nazis.
Right. It's not even Nazi zombies anymore. It's just zombies.
Yeah. They won't put up a swastika in a World War II game anymore. And I don't get why you're trying to avoid being offensive when the entire game is about killing the Nazis. Like, that's the whole point. You're killing Nazis. Like, own up to that. Do it. Embrace it, you know? Like Wolfenstein did. That was their whole thing, punch a Nazi in the face. Now, they specifically said punch a Nazi in the face because that was a politically charged thing back then. But they're calling everybody Nazis. But moving on, back to Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2. One last thing I have about the multiplayer, that SPR-08 or whatever it's called.
The 208. Yeah, SPR-208.
That thing.
I love it.
It's so stupid.
It's
so dumb, man. You can chop the barrel off, chop off the stock, and throw a laser on there, and then just one-shot people instantly.
You feel that way because you've been one-shot by it probably 100 times. And you've seen, videos and TikToks of people one-shotting people with it. But if you actually play with it, it's not a one-hit kill all the time. And you still have to aim. And it's a little more snappy and easier to use than, like, I don't know, if you take one of the snipers and put a red dot on it or whatever. But it's not a cheat mode like people say it is.
I don't know, man.
It's fun to use, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, killing people is fun, but
in the game,
I have honor. Yeah, obviously, I have an honor system, and if something's that cheap,
okay, Mr. Riot Shield.
Yeah, that takes skill.
Yeah, okay, sure.
It takes skill to kill people with it. It doesn't take skill not to get killed when you're using it. You just sit in a corner and look at people and it'll be fine. But if you want to get close enough to actually kill them without them shooting you in your feet or getting behind you real quick, there's some tactics to it. But when I use a riot shield, 90% of the time it's on my back and I'm running around with a knife and I'm stabbing people. And it's more just to keep me from getting shot in the back than it is from getting shot in the front. But with that, it's time to move on to some frank facts about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
2. Let's hear it.
Okay. Because there is absolutely no information I can find about the behind the scenes for Modern Warfare 2, there's not a lot of good frank facts about that specific game. So we're just going to talk about Call of Duty in general for Frank's Facts today. Let's see. Number 1, the Call of Duty Jeep. So Call of Duty came out with a collaboration with Jeep to make a Call of Duty Jeep Wrangler in like 2008, I think it was. I think it was Black Ops.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
That was, like, I still see that Jeep to this day with people with the Call of Duty logo on it. That's one of the weirdest video game promotions I've ever seen.
I slightly remember the Black Ops one, but I really remember the Modern Warfare 3 Jeep. I don't know why that one's just like ingrained in my memory.
It's just weird. Like, yes, we're making a video game. We're not going to have Jeeps in our video games, but here's a Jeep that is licensed for our video game. We won't license the Jeep to put in our game, but we'll let them license our stuff to put it on their Jeep.
That is strange. You would think there would be like, I don't know, maybe a skin for the RCXD of a Jeep or something.
Just a little, like in Tremors 2, whenever they've got the dynamite on the little RC cars. That'd be funny. Call of Duty was once used as propaganda in North Korea. So I think it was Modern Warfare 2, and they used a clip of like the Russians invading the U.S. in Modern Warfare 2 as propaganda, I guess, to tell the North Korean people that we were getting invaded or something. I don't know.
Never heard of Red Dawn?
I don't think they watched it. I don't know Korean, but it's probably not called Red Dawn there. Maybe Blue Dawn. The Americans invading them.
Right.
So that's I got that. All right. That was a pretty interesting video. You should look into it. Did you know there is a Call of Duty game made specifically for China that you can only get in China? And I don't know if it's the only one that they are allowed to play. I doubt it, but it is a Chinese-based Call of Duty, and it's called Call of Duty Online. This is a real game. All right. Now, I have a theory.
So, Kodo.
Sure. Or Kodo. I have a theory of why you can only play it in China.
What's your theory?
The high ping. Okay. All right, guys. And we're canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Did you know, Marty, for our final fact, Call of Duty is connected to a little movie I like to call Jurassic Park.
In what way?
So, here we go. This is a long one, boys. Call of Duty was made by Infinity Ward. Mm-hmm. Infinity Ward started after breaking off from a company called, I want to say it was 2015 Inc. back in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. When they worked for 2015 Inc., they were under contract to make a game called Medal of Honor. Mm-hmm. The people who contracted them to make Medal of Honor went on to become DICE and EA Los Angeles. But at the time, were known as DreamWorks Interactive. Now, DreamWorks Interactive was a company owned by Steven Spielberg, who contracted them to make Medal of Honor as a tie-in game for the movie Saving Private Ryan. Now, when Saving Private Ryan was pitched to Steven Spielberg, and he got the first script, he was filming The Lost World Jurassic Park. And there you go. There is your Call of Duty connection to Jurassic Park.
Very good. That's a good one.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg is responsible for most things. And Jurassic Park as well. All right. With that, we go on to wrap up this episode. But before we wrap it up, and we're still talking about Call of Duty, I want to highlight something that Call of Duty does. They've done this for several years now, and it's the first pack that you can buy when you get the game, the Call of Duty Endowment. So if anybody listened to our first episode, they would know that me and Marty are both separated from the military So veterans. And Call of Duty Endowment, what they do is they take the money that is used when you buy that, and that's given to organizations to help veterans find work. I believe it's in the US and in the UK. They've helped over 100,000 veterans find jobs with the average salary that's actually double the national median salary. So they've helped a lot of veterans out there. If you would like to know more about them or contribute, well, go to Call of Duty to contribute. But if you want to know about them specifically at Call of Duty Endowment, just go to callofdutyendowment.org. If I'm able to post a link wherever this is uploaded to, I will post a link to it below. Make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast if you would like to. We're going to try to be on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, and anything else that we can. If you have anything that you would like for us to discuss, feel free to comment. And with that, Marty, do you have any parting words?
Just to anyone that's listening to us, as we continue to do this and you get to know us more, you'll learn the kind of guys we are. And if you share the interests that we share, let us know things that you think we might be interested in talking about. Comment, give us suggestions. We're just like you, and we'd like to talk about the things that you like to talk about.
All right, Marty. Next week, what are we going to do?
Well, I don't want to give it away, but I think we're going to talk about Dave Bautista's score on the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, with that, thank you all for listening, and adios.